Hey everybody, and welcome to the Oversalt match between Open Source and Win Streak Interceptors. I am your play-by-play commentator, Platinum Thistle, and I'm here with my color commentator, Luckstar. How you doing today, buddy?
Hi there, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, and this is honestly going to be quite an interesting game we have here. Open Source was a team that participated in the last Open Division and actually placed among the top 100 of the participants. While we have interceptors on the other side of the game that is a lower tier team. So we're gonna see how they're gonna be able to face up against the Titans.
Absolutely, and we all love that underdog story, so we're going to hope to see if Interceptors can make their mark onto Open Source and see if they can take a couple maps off, make them know that they're not a team to be trifled with. We're gonna love to see a good game here. Now, Interceptors as a team has been together for about a month longer than Open Source has, but you did say Open Source was in Open Division beforehand, so we don't know if the team is exactly the same, but we do know they do have past experience together. Do you think it's going to be a sweep for Open Source here, or do you think Interceptors is going to take a couple maps off?
I would in general favor open source here, but mostly what I'm gonna be looking for is the mechanical skill comparison between the different players. So the DPS lineups and the tank lineups and stuff like that. Because in my opinion, open source having participated in open division, even though they haven't been together as long as interceptors, then I believe that their synergy as a team will be stronger because they've went through open division. So I'm more looking towards this mechanical lineup between the teams.
I agree. What I will be looking for with Interceptors is I want to see their synergy in order for them to be able to properly combat open source. I want them to have alt synergy. I want them to not waste alts unnecessarily. I want them to come in, show that they can communicate properly, make sure that they always have their main tank juiced up and ready to fight. Whereas with open source, that's something we can already expect. So I'm looking to their DPS line, if they have any, as we are in a tank heavy meta right now, to see if we can get some picks. And I'm also looking to them to be very conservative, to not be overly aggressive if they can't handle it. Now we're going to be moving into Route 66 as our first map here. And what kind of team comps are you expecting, seeing as this is a high-ranking team on Route 66?
Well, generally towards the higher ranks in Overwatch, Route 66 a goats map. But the funny part of it is that the first point is actually possible to be playing a triple or a quad DPS on as attack or defenders. I mean, because you have this giant open space where a Pharaoh, Widow, Hanzo, and so on can just set up and do a lot of spam damage, while you have an Orisa. It's generally Orisa with the Fortify and also the movable shield. Just gonna try and contest the point or distract people so the DPS can do their work. While Mercy sometimes heals the Orisa to keep her up, but mainly focuses on the Pharah.
I completely agree, and we are kind of seeing a pseudo goats from the defending line replacing their third tank with the Sombra. Now that will provide a little extra healing and ability denial. We're gonna hopefully see them coming in here.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more or one of the newer comps introduced to Overwatch. Oh, and we have a DC real quick um, from
Well,
Interceptors.
this gives us a good chance to look at the line of Interceptors as it stands now, because we talked a lot about open source, and we didn't get to cover Interceptors very well. They too have what seems to look like something that's very, very similar to the open source team. They do have the Reinhardt, the Lucio, the Zenyatta, the Sombra, and the Brigitte. Now we're going to be seeing when Ruckbuck is coming back, we're going to be seeing him, see what he will be picking up on, but in all likelihood it will be an off tank or another main tank, probably on the Zarya. And if he does end up picking up on that Zarya, we will be seeing a mirror comp, meaning each team is playing exactly what the other side is playing. And on this freeze frame here, we can see that the Sombra for Open Source, the defending side, is far behind the enemy lines, scouting out, telling their team what exactly is going to be going on as the game is progressing, be able to give them a little bit more information. Now he's back, so we will be seeing what he's going and what he's going to and what the team compositions are going to end up looking like.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to start here, and I'm actually going to be favoring Open Source on the defense with this comp, just because the Sombra can already be set up.
And getting knocked off the high ground here, we do have Open Source being knocked with a very nice positional advantage for the Interceptors. Interceptors picking up a first kill with the Fire Strike, and the second kill onto the Brigitte. Chase Torch just popping off here. Zarya been put in an unfavorable position, and she is going to be batted down by Chase Torch, just absolutely showing exactly why he is this team's captain.
Yeah, and the main difference in that fight was that Halo from Open Source to Sombra was staying on a high ground and not directly supporting his team, while we had the enemy Sombra Season playing together with Interceptors and was getting those hacks and extra damage onto the enemy Reinhardt.
Absolutely, and we did see it end up working very well for the Interceptors, be dropping down. Lucio gets stunned out, and Season dropping very low. Interceptors regrouping onto the point. Open Source, their Sombra being very high useful here. Klondowski being dropped very low, and the Earth Shatter coming in, taking out and wiping the entirety of Open Source.
Yeah, and that was
the only one left to stall.
Yeah, and that was actually a huge shatter right there, because Klondowski wasn't even hacked or anything, or bashed. It was just a pure outplay from the Interceptors Reinhardt. But here, Open Source is going to be looking to take the fight early. They have the Halo EMP up here, so they want to take this fight only using EMP, or use EMP to charge their ultimates.
Definitely. Season with that EMP is going to be the fight win if it lands correctly. Very few times can a team win without any of their abilities. EMP goes through and it's massive! Get 2 people, but retorting EMP ends up getting more people. Even though Vita pops out with that Transcendence, it's not going to be enough healing for Chase Torch, who's going to be dropped in the front line. Season's going to be dead and then respawning, and Mukbuk is going to be joining them in that spawn.
And the main problem with that fight right there was that Seasons actually EMP'd Open Source way in the backline without Interceptors being ready to speed boost and capitalize onto the EMP, which allowed Halo to counter EMP while he also just had Stribble on the send picking up some picks.
Now we're going to be seeing Lucio's dancing far above the point here, seeing if Chase Torch can get anything done on the main point. Zarya grab's going to be going in, but we will see that Zenyatta coming in with the Transcendence. Massive Earth Shatter coming in from the main line. Chase Torch, main tank, showing off his fantastic skills. He has said that this is his most comfortable hero, and it shows. Striver following up with only 1 pick before being taken out very quickly by Season 7.
Yeah, and I actually believe right there Klondowski was actually hacked from Season. So that's a very good Earth Shatter shot up by Season and Chase Torch with the hack on to the enemy Reinhardt and then the Shatter.
We were saying at the beginning of this that we wanted to see good ult synergy coming in from both teams here, and it looks like that's what we have so far. Going to be on the front line. Chase Torch going up further with the beat drop. They're going to see if this engage works out. Shooting E is going to be dropping that with the EMP. Looks like the only one left going to be the Zenyatta for the side of Interceptor. Not going to be able to get anything done. Gets punched out by Shooting E with a fantastic Graviton Surge on main point, forcing out Banshee with that sound barrier, not getting much done. Really, really good show here from Open Source.
Honestly, the Halo EMP was kind of unnecessary since Interceptors were pushing in with a tempo beat to start off the fight, so the beat was actually already fading inside of the Graviton, but he just decided to throw the EMP in as well to secure the fight. But I think that's more a mistake. And here we have Seasons coming in with EMP.
4 people caught in that EMP. Very important that Zarya was caught. The EMP does take off all of the shielding, so she's dropped down very, very low, already at 50% health, even after that. And in addition to that, the Zenyatta is also dropped very low and taken out really quickly. It looks like Open Source is just going to let them take... No, they're coming back in with Lucio. They're going to have some contention. And it looks like they're going to be a massive shatter from both sides. Transcendence coming in. Kolbolski is dropped very low and then taken out on the point ultimately. We're going to be having some massive drops coming in from both sides, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to stop the Interceptors from taking that point.
Yeah, right now Chase Torch just looking absolutely dominant on this Reinhardt above Klondowski. Halo actually switching on to this Diva and going into the traditional GOAT. Now Open Source actually just wants to fight onto interceptors and kill the Reinhardt. But we have a hack off in the backline already from Seasons on playing on the high ground.
And we're going to be seeing a nice shield break coming in onto the Brigitte. We have EMP halfway done for Season. Season dropping dangerously low. Rallies. We're going to be seeing if it's enough to keep everyone from dying. Retorting rally and a Graviton thrown in by Open Source. There's picks from both sides. Is it enough for either side to gain momentum on here? Dangerously low for the side of Interceptors. They throw in a Graviton Surge. That Strebber Transcendence is fantastic. Halo dropping Chase Torch before his Earth Shatter can get anything major done. Looks like Interceptor is going to be forced out way earlier than they'd hoped. They used a lot of ultimates there.
Yeah, but actually in the middle of that fight, Seasons was able to grind out another EMP, and Open Source actually has no ultimates other than the sound barrier coming up in just a moment to try and counter this. So Cloud really needs to hide for this EMP or this fight will be going to Intercept.
Yeah, usually with that EMP, we see the support line targeted, especially if you have a Zenyatta, because he can be burst down really low. He gets left at 50 health without those shields. EMP is going to be going into the backline. We'll see if it works out. And it's caught! It's caught 5 members. Unluckily for them, the only member they didn't catch was Cloud. Strebber turning around and headshotting Season. Season's out of this game. We're going to be seeing if their team can follow up and get anything else done. Sound barriers being dropped. That's the beat going down. 2 Earth Shatters, but the first one doesn't connect. The second one stops Interceptors in their tracks, and Interceptors have been intercepted by an enemy Earth Shatter. And now Open Source has not only won the fight, they end with the ultimate advantage.
Yeah, most definitely. And the Seasons keep EMPing very far into the backline without Interceptors actually being able to follow up on the EMP. And Seasons also has died after every single EMP he has had so far, which just puts his team at a massive disadvantage.
I completely agree, but we have a preemptive rally coming in at the 60-second mark for Open Source. Graviton Surge thrown in from both sides. Diva Bomb and both Zenyatas have popped their ultimates. Everyone is throwing ultimates in. Toast is being hacked up really early. Seeing if we can get a pick on. Going to be dropping pretty low. Koldulski, that Earth Shatter was stunned out. Chase Torch is going to be coming up to the front line, see if they can get anything done. Halo has been hacked down, cannot use that defensive matrix, which is so important. Muckbuck is being taken very low, and it is entirely possible that he's going to be picked down, but the rally coming in will keep every single person alive. We have Cloud with that preemptive. Oh, he's got the beat drop in. Klondowski, his shield is dropping very low. He's very important for his team. They want to keep him up. Cloud with that beat drop has finally disappeared. Toast is going to come in with that rally. Muckbuck is very close to that Graviton Surge, and we have the Transcendence and the EMP coming in for the set of Interceptors. They might have to use it here. There's only 10 seconds left in the match. The Chase Torch, however, dropped very low very quickly. That's very unfortunate. Very late EMP coming in for the backline, and however unfortunate that may be, there's no picks coming in for their side. They used every single ultimate they had. They have 2 left, but neither of them are going to be able to get back to the point in time. Chase Torch is desperately trying to get up, but he won't be able to do it in time.
So far, it actually really seems like Season, the Sombra from Interceptors, is favoring trying to EMP Open Source backline all the time. Even in that last fight, he used his translocator to try and EMP the Zenyatta from Open Source first. And the Zenyatta did get hit, but then Seasons ignored him and left him with 1 HP, which allowed the Zenyatta from Open Source to come in with this Transcendence afterward.
The coordination is not... The thing that we've been saying before was that coordination is one of the biggest things that we need to look for here. And we've seen it with the ult synergy. We've seen it that everyone is calling what ults they're going to use. They've been trying to get things done, but the last fight was very messy. And not only that, we saw Open Source be able to pick it up at the very end. And the reason for that is Interceptors stopped calling targets. You mentioned that Zenyatta, he was left on 1 HP and no one even went for him. He was just sitting there doing his job. He was allowed to be healed back up by the AoE of Darkness's Brigitte, or by the AoE of the Open Source Brigitte. And there was nothing that was done untoward the actual HP pool of him. They were left allowing him to do his job. And the problem with the EMP is they're supposed to disrupt. It's supposed to make it harder for the enemy team to do their job. But if you're left alone, without being damage done to you. There's nothing that's going to change for you. You can just sit there and keep playing.
Yeah, and right now, actually, the teams seem to be on equal grounds with this Sombra Ghost. The only thing I want to see is Season stepping up this coordination with the EMP, which would really allow them to have capped the third point all the way last round, and probably be a huge deal breaker in this round as well.
Absolutely. We were seeing that very early scouting done by Seasons allows him to get 25% of his ultimate. It's going to be a big fight up front. Chase Torch being blown backwards. Klondowski having the shield advantage. Chase Torch dropping dangerously low and is being taken out. Muckbuck and Banshee probably soon to follow. Banshee backing up a little bit, seeing if he can get out alive. Season dropping very, very low, but he's going to be taken out eventually. That translocator was not in his favor, transported him back into the middle of the enemy lines.
Yeah,
we're going to see if they can pick anything up.
Yeah, and the difference between these comps right now is that Open Source is playing the standard Ghost composition against the Sombra Ghost, which allows them to just go really aggressive onto Chase Torch here.
There's less of a health pool coming in. We're going to be seeing that affect them here now. Chase Torch being dropped dangerously low along with Vita. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get much done with a 4K coming in for the side of Open Source 5. That rally was used, but they do have 4 ultimates coming out. 2 ultimates they have, 4 ultimates are going to be coming out. They will have the ultimate advantage here. Chase Torch with the dangerously low ultimate percentage. What do you think's been holding him back here?
What's really been holding him back right now has been the pure aggressiveness from Open Source and the lack of ability to deal with that aggressiveness coming in from Interceptors without that Diva. They haven't been able to play passive enough to get enough value out of the Sombra and also deny the rush on to Chase.
I completely agree. We've been seeing Chase being dropped very early. And the healing, it's not entirely focused because we see what kind of healing they have. They have 3 AoE healers or three off healers, which usually is enough, and the rally's going to be coming in. But will that be enough to deny that major? An EMP ultimates being thrown from every single side. Interceptors have thrown in all of their ultimates. Muckbuck now has that Graviton Surge along with Banshee's drop. The beat is coming up, but will they be able to bring anything out? Chase Torch dropping dangerously low again, and he's the first to fall for the side of Interceptors. Open Source with another Earth Shatter and another rally, and we're going to be seeing them pick off the rest of the line for the Interceptors. And we saw a very strong display from them coming in on the attack, but on the defense it looks very, very weak.
Yeah, that is definitely a problem right now, and that last fight would actually have been winnable if they had used the beat and also the Graviton after the beat, since Open Source used both of their support ults quite early on into the fight. But really the deal breaker in that fight was that Seasons EMP'd all 5 people, but the send from Open Source were able to react to it and just transcendence it.
We're going to be having an Earth Shatter thrown in by Chase Torch, but it's not going to be finding anything. The return is going to be very, very, very strong. And it looks like Banshee's ultimate went to no avail. Diva Bomb being thrown in. Not much going to be found. We're going to have a massive stun coming in from Toast onto Chase Torch, denying that shield. Halo with the 3K coming up with 4K, probably coming up 5 kills for Halo, carrying the ending of his team to this 3-2 victory on the side of Open Source.
Yeah, and this round was definitely more dominated from Open Source. While they were on their attack, they were allowed to use the aggression that they wanted to play with, compared to that they didn't really set the pace of the game while they were defending, and allowed Interceptors to play around that Sombra and all of the hacks. But here on attack, they were kept rushing in onto Chase, shutting him down with the extra damage and the kill for their own Reinhardt with the Diva, compared to Sombra from Interceptors.
We saw a really good show from the Interceptors on the attacking run, and unfortunately, it was not able to carry them to all 3 points, and it seemed to slow down them on their defending run, whereas Open Source just seemed to get better and better. We are going to be seeing a sub coming in for the Interceptors. They're going to be bringing in Yurimem, and open source does have a uh, is also possibly going to have a sub, but we do have someone who's restarted their game, possibly some technical issues coming in from the side of open source. But what I'm really curious about is, since we're moving on to King's Row now, which is almost exactly like this map that we just experienced, what can interceptors do to change up what is so obviously been going wrong?
Well, honestly, King's Row is also a map that can be really useful for the Sombra Goats, especially on defense first point. Sombra Goats is actually a very used comp in scrims and stuff like that. So interceptors might actually have a chance to keep running their Sombra Goats here. But other than that, it seems like that open source is just not letting them set the pace of the game, and open source is just forcing them into the aggressive battles, taking on Chase and just running over interceptors Reinhardt over and over again.
I completely agree. Chase has been taken out very early. Now we've seen that they have now taken out Mukbuk and is being replaced with Yuri Mem. We don't exactly know what he's going to be playing yet, but we can theorize that it is probably more to assist with the constant stress being put onto Chase Torch. The life of a main tank is going to be very, very difficult when you do not have the main healing to go behind it, and you have more if you have 3 off healers going on. Do you see any changes going into the healing lineup of the interceptors?
No, not really. In the Goats comp, the 3 off healers with the Lucio, Sen, and Brigitte, it's actually quite necessary. Because you need the speed boost to be able to engage and disengage at your own will and set the pace of the game. But you also need the Zenyatta damage with the Discord, and also Zenyatta himself just puts in a lot of damage onto tanks. And then again, you need the Brigitte just for the added healing, and also her armor pack, which gives you that burst healing that you need for it. The supports are most likely not going to change.
I completely agree that it is the right call. We do have to Chase Torch that he's not necessarily getting the immediate healing that he would be liking. This is the necessary team comp. We're going to be seeing this with the next engage.
Yeah, and here we actually see interceptors on the same Sombra Goats again. They're playing a bit slower here, trying to let Season set up and hack onto Halo, and enables them to walk through choke.
A quick engage onto Halo is going to be distraction enough to allow Chase Torch to get into the front line. Again, he's very low and being taken out by Toast. Yuri Mem soon to follow after. Toast playing the Brigitte and Koldulski playing the Reinhardt is really unfortunate for Chase Torch, because although he has his shield up, the flail and the hammer for both of those heroes respectively do completely ignore the shield. You do have to be close, but this is Goats. That's what you do. And the shield being up will not stop him from being dropped by both of those main attacks.
Yeah, and right now interceptors really need to play more around the speed boost that they have to both disengage from when they're getting taken aggression upon, and also engage when they're getting hacked.
Looks like we had the team being split completely in half here. Interceptors dropping really, really low again. Vita being one of the first to fall, and he has been a very, very interesting person to watch throughout this match. He's been doing a fantastic job with Transcendence timing, and he's mainly been using it reactionally. And quite frankly, I think he's been one of the driving forces behind the success with those Discords. But unfortunately, Chase Torch has just been backed down very, very quickly. Do you think this is a committal issue? Do you think their issue is committing to fights, or do you think their issue is knowing when to back out?
It's kind of a combination of both, because they're not playing around the Sombra probably. As we see right now, Seasons was forced to use his TP out, and are now just playing around behind the barrier, and that's going on to the flank now. But we really need to see a speed boost into a hacked target, or a speed disengage when they're taking damage on, or cushion on.
Excellently placed EMP. Chase Torch coming in with massive Earth Shatter. It does not get much, but it does allow for Yuri Mem to come back and retort with that Graviton Surge, dropping everyone very low, and it looks like a clean 6-0 wipe in terms of KD for the Interceptors. Going to be favoring them. Season dropping all the way up to see if he can scout any coming in for any resistance onto the point, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and there the EMP hitting the supports were actually kind of irrelevant. As long as it just hit Kowalski, they were able to set up that shatter which they were going for, and it worked out fantastically. Seasons are getting picked off early though, and they have to back out again.
As you did say, that it was a combination of both knowing when to engage and when to engage, when to disengage and when not to disengage. They did handle that very well. One person was taken off from the interceptors, and they knew that they kind of need that Sombra, so they decided to back it out very quickly. Banshee did his job. He switched to the speed boost, and having saved the amp it up, they managed to get out of there very quickly without taking further losses. And just that healing that he's been doing has allowed him to build up another sound barrier very, very quickly. Chase Torch has been now up to the 80% on the shatter, and we see very good ult economy from both sides here. Really, do you think that anything can be done differently to open source in order to be able to combat this more aggressive technique that Interceptors has seemed to adopt with this Lucio speed boost?
At the moment, one of the things that I see open source Black is capitalizing on Seasons using his TP out of the fight. Because a lot of the time, Seasons actually gets forced out of the fight and uses TP quite early. But then open source just sits still and allows them to get Seasons into another position with a new TP and set up for those hacks. Well, they should really just be engaging onto Chase as they were doing on Route 66 whenever that Sombra is out of the game.
Now, Toasty was the one that disconnected, and he was playing the Brigitte for open source, and unfortunately that will rally reset for the side of open source. Do you think that will cause enough of a dent in their ult economy to put this whole match in favor of Interceptors?
I do not think that it's gonna matter very much, considering that open source has the Grav Diva Bomb already up. So really all the Brigitte needs is to try and land a stun onto Jace into the Grav and time it with the Diva Bomb, and they have a fight won. Besides, the rally gets charged really quickly, especially into a Graviton where she can hit multiple targets at once.
And there's that Graviton Surge you were talking so fondly about, having to get that stun, and it's a 4K for Halo! He's such a god, he doesn't even need his own Halo. He's gone through and they're pushing back, seeing if they can catch Vita off to the side. He's been discorded and he's dropping very low. But it's obviously a one fight for the side of open source.
Yeah, and here we see Toasty on the Brigitte. They're already up to 40% on the rally just from that. That was also just a boop onto Chase that booped him across the entire map, which made him unavailable to shield that Diva Bomb for the rest of the team. However, open source Yara did use the Transcendence, which is going to be fatal in this fight.
Koldolski's taking that hack straight to the face. He's almost got his Earth Shatter up, so that could be vital if he drops now, but it looks like he's going to be kept alive by his healing. He's got that Earth Shatter up. He's going to drop it down, but it gets stunned out from the side of Darkness, and that EMP is going to be going in. They're all denied their abilities. That's a 6-stack. Toast now getting that rally, but it's too late. He's been dropped down. Halo's at half health. Let's see if we can get any picks. He's trapped in the middle of that Reinhardt, swinging his rocket hammer, smashing that Korean's face in, but it doesn't look like anything's going to be able to get done, and Shooting E is going to be taken out on top of that payload.
And honestly, the biggest mistake of that fight actually comes from the previous fight from Stribble that used his Transcendence in an already won fight, because he was the only guy from open source that did not get EMP'd. So if he had his Transcendence, he could have saved all of open source.
Now, the one good thing about being EMP'd and losing the team fight is that you cannot waste any ultimates. So we will be seeing a good amount of ultimates for open source. However, Interceptors did keep their ultimates very, very nicely. Oh, Halo eating that Graviton Surge, but the Earth Shadow is going to be coming in anyway. They didn't. Cloud being taken out really, or Strebber with that delayed Transcendence because of the stun from the Earth Shadow. They're going to be refuting, and Vita's going to be coming in with that extra Transcendence just to secure the fight in the end. Shooting, he's dropping very low. Toast is dropping very low. We have the Baby Diva getting a mech back. Klodowski is being taken out by Vita. Toast and Strebber are both falling individually. That's the entirety of their healing line done out, but Cloud is still at the very end of the side, and they're going to be taking the point with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock for them to take all three.
And right now, it really looks as to me that Chase is actually the more mechanically gifted Reinhardt compared to Dowski that depends a bit more on his teammates to set up shatters. Chase just hits these big shatters one after another, has another one coming up in this fight with the EMP.
Two of them have been thrown out. Two Graviton Surges have been thrown out. We've got 2 picks from the side of the Interceptors. Koldulski is refuting with 1 pick from that Fire Strike onto the Season 7. Season 7 is feeling that burn, but Koldulski is not going to be able to get away. Chase Torch has been counter-charging him to stun him out. Banshee finishing off that pick.
That was an amazing EMP from Seasons. It just barely caught everyone in the Grav, but also the Zenyatta from Open Source, which he took down himself.
You did say he needed to improve, and he definitely has been. Diva Bomb coming in, and this time it won't catch anyone. Halo, as good as you think you are. That's what they're saying to him. They're coming in. We have the Transcendence. Transcendence is keeping every single person topped up. Strebber, he's envious of that. He's going to be dropped low along with Koldulski and Shooting E. Vita's being booped off the side by Cloud, but it's not enough. Cloud being finished off by Chase Torch. That fantastic Reinhardt you were talking about earlier. Toad's the last one on the point, but he's getting stunned out. Will he be able to contest any longer? No, he's not. 2 meters left, and they're gone.
Yeah, that was another really big shatter from Chase. Even though it only connected with Toasted, the break from Open Source, it was still really huge, meaning that they could trade the guy that fell from their own team and were able to keep in that fight.
And one of the main reasons that Interceptors have been dying so much to these Diva Bombs is because it's thrown over their backline. They all try and crowd behind Chase Torch, and Toast has been there to kill him. They have been there to stun them out and make sure that they don't have any possible way of holding up the shield. They'll stun out the Reinhardt, the shield drops. So if they get that correctly, which we've seen them be doing, then the bomb comes in. I don't know how intentional it is, but they definitely ended up catching Toast with the Earth Shatter, which meant that Toast could not shatter and stop Chase from keeping his shield up. Now, we're going to be seeing about the same comp coming in from the Interceptors on the defending side. Should we expect to see Open Source change things, or should we be seeing them keep things the same on this attacking run?
One of the things that I actually want Open Source to do is actually kind of change it up, try something different. Despite how it looked on Route 66, it actually looks like that Open Source has not quite figured out how to counter this Sombra Goat from Interceptors, are still just allowing these small things getting put out by Seasons and having huge effect in the game.
It looks like Sombra's been running them over, and in last game it didn't matter because they had figured she's not doing that well. It's okay. Oh, just as I'm speaking, Shooting is going to be taking out Season really early. That's a 5v6. They're going to be rushing off the point with that Lucio speed boost, seeing if they can take some ground. They're pushing everyone off the point. We're going to be seeing some nice change. Chase Torch dropping really low. He's going to be able to make it out. He gets a slight heal pack from the Brigida, but Halo is going to be dropping him off real quickly. Halo showing that he can do more than just the Diva, and he's coming in on the Zarya with the 2K. They're going to be doing one of the fastest takes I've ever seen onto the King's Row first point, and that means they're going to be making some real fast progress here.
Yeah, that was a total of 30 seconds push right there. But actually, the most crucial thing is that Seasons is only about 20% on the EMP, which is going to allow Open Source to get these fights really quickly with the ult advantage and also the charge advantage on Zarya that they're having now.
Exactly. With Halo on that Zarya, that means damage. Shooting E on Creed, they're going for the direct Sombra counter. It looks like they listened and they know that Sombra has been their real problem. They've got the ult advantage for miles here, coming in with just about 5 ultimates. And we're going to be seeing them rounding this corner. Toast dropping. Yurimem is being dropped really low. Chase being stunned out with shield. Shatters being thrown in at the end. I'm not entirely sure that was necessary. That fight seemed to already be won, but they want to be chasing those kills, add those stats. We're going to be seeing a very decisive win here from Open Source on this stretch.
Yeah, and Seasons is still only up to 75% of that EMP, and I do not think that he's going to be able to get it in time for this point. He's going to be huge, and Halo and Shooting and having this Grav High Noon combo, and Interceptors are not running a Diva, so this is going to be huge.
And this Graviton Surge coming in, not entirely meant for the picks. They will end up landing one the Chase Torch and Darkness combo. It was meant more to keep the people off the point, but we will be seeing a nice set of wipes here. Maybe a stagger coming in. Banshee and Halo, Banshee being dropped down by Cloud and Halo dropping Vita. That's the support team being staggered out. We do have Season on the back line, seeing if he can build up more of that charge towards the EMP, which he has done so far.
So here, Interceptor's actually coming out the big 6 ultimates, and the EMP is running in quickly.
We're going to be seeing if we can get a nice shatter coming in from Chase Torch. Shatter them back enough to not take the fight. It really just spared them that team fight, and unless one team gets a pick over the other, it looks like Interceptor's just wasted 2 ultimates, and we're going to be getting shooting with a massive Deadeye, just taking out Darkness. That's one more thing they don't have to worry about. The massive shatter coming in from the side of Koldolski. We were talking about how he's a worse Reinhardt earlier than Chase Torch. Chase Torch is more mechanically gifted. He did not like that one bit. We have Darkness coming in and being stunned out with a incredibly fast take for the side of Open Source.
Yeah, Open Source finishing the map with about 5 minutes left, I believe. And again, there we saw Seasons with the deep EMP without his team being able to follow it up. And then also Banish just using his sound barrier for no reason, which has allowed Open Source to just disengage, let the sound barrier go off, fade away without them having to do anything, and then engage back into them with their own ult.
They played that very, very smart. They saw and acknowledged that even though Season has been kind of making sure that their lives are havoc and not making anything easy, Season has been the one that's been carrying a lot of the team fights with the EMP. So they said to themselves, okay, we're going to make sure that he can only get 1 EMP. We're going to make sure that he only has 1 EMP, and that's going to be one lost fight for us. So they said that, okay, 1 EMP, 1 lost fight, we can win this every other time. So when the EMP comes along, they're ready for it. They're ready to run away from the team and know that that fight is lost. And even though the fight was supposedly lost for them, they ended up winning in terms of backing up. They regrouped, and there were no picks coming in for the side of Interceptors. They managed to get no picks from the EMP, and they just waited it out. It ended up being a couple seconds off the clock, but in the long run, that didn't matter.
Yeah, and here we're gonna see Open Source coming in with the same Goats McCree. Here we have Interceptors with the normal Goats comp.
And it looks like Koldolski's dropping very, very low. The healing is... He gets that Brigitte quick repair pack, and Interceptors exactly where they want to be on the high ground with very good positioning, only having 30 seconds left on the clock. Shooting, he's going to be taking out Season 7 early. That's really, really bad. That's just about a death sentence with 1 healer down. Going to be running the true Goats here with 3-3. Shooting, he's taking off that Diva mech, and that is pretty much a lost fight for them unless they can get Season 7 back with that Zenyatta, which it does not look like they're going to be able to. Season 7 approaching the choke, and he's going to be dropped down really low, but that opportunity is going to buy them some time. Shooty's taking out the UMM, and it looks like Koldolski's charge it onto Darkness is going to be a massive deal. No one left to stall it on the point. That's a complete team kill for the side of Open Source.
Yeah, and the big mistake they're coming in from Interceptors were that they played that matchup completely wrong. When you're playing normal Goats into McCree Goats, you're looking to take the aggressive fights, because while you have a Diva and they have a McCree, you're able to just defense matrix to McCree and run over him with the Discord, and also just Reinhardt. While he can't do anything, he can't flashbang you because it's gonna get eaten by the defense McCree, and he can't put out any damage. Even his shift, which is his role, is not going to be significant enough to get out of the fight when you're getting speed boosted onto.
I completely agree here. And we do have a very nice lead coming in. 5 minutes for Open Source to take this first point. All they have to do is stand on the point for a couple seconds with no one else on it. And quite frankly, I don't think that the Interceptors have much of a chance here. We want to see a good fight for them, and they put up a good fight on the beginning, showing off Season 7's Sombra on their attacking run against Open Source on King's Row, and they did a fantastic job but we did see that open source comes back and says exactly what they wanted to do.
And now we're gonna see open source coming in with the attack here. Season's actually using his hack early onto that mini health pack by the statue, setting up behind his team. And we have open source coming in with the normal goats combo again into the somber goats.
And Somber Goats, as we said, was very strong, but it won't be strong enough if they do not manage to... With that EMP building, Chase is dropping really low. That was their biggest problem. Hair pack, but is it enough to keep him up with the charge? And he's been charged out, and it ends up being a lockout. No contestation on the point. Under 60 seconds to take it. That's a very, very, very decisive victory for open source.
Yeah, again, and the problem there is that Interceptors were not playing around the Sombra whatsoever. They were just taking the fight with the Sombra behind the shield, but the Sombra puts out way less damage and healing compared to a Diva in normal Goats comp. So they just had no chance of winning that fight head-to-head.
Absolutely, and it was a very, very decisive win. It was a very decisive win for open source. 2-0. It was in a best of 3 match. Unfortunately, we will not be going on to a third map because we will not be playing the third map for a 2-0 win. And really, it was a quick game, and the scoreboard doesn't fully reflect it. But the Interceptors definitely pulled some weight. They did their job, and they definitely showed us that they have skill.
Yeah, Interceptors honestly surprised me quite a bit with how well they were able to work together and play around the Sombra, which is actually quite a hard comp to play around and pull off. So they were actually a way stronger team than I was expecting them to be. And even though the map scores and the match score doesn't really reflect how it went in game, I still think it was a pretty good game to watch, and you could certainly learn a lot.
Absolutely, I agree. And I'd just like to quickly extend a thanks to you as a co-caster, Kat for being the referee of the game, and to Sam Broer for being the producer and helping us with this recording. So thank you to all.